So, good day, everyone. We are the Group 1. So, the lesson title is Social and Political Justification for Early Discharge of PDL through Amnesty, Absolute Pardon, and Conditional Pardon. And this is the Module 17. So, the learning targets at the end of the module, students will be able to number one, elucidate the social and political justification for the early release of persons deprived of liberty or PDL. And number two, discuss the special categories of PDL as subject for early release. So good day, everyone. Our topic covers the social and political justifications for early discharge. But before we talk about how people leave confinement, we need to talk about how we refer them while they are there. So if you look at our module, you will see the term person deprived of liberty or PDL. Technically, this refers to anyone detained, an inmate, or a prisoner under custody. But why use a long phrase instead of just saying prisoner, convict, or inmate? The shift to this neutral phase is actually a massive step forward in human rights and rehabilitation. Words like convict or criminal are heavily loaded. They act as a brand when society uses derogatory labels. It strips people of their identity and reduces them entirely to the worst mistake they ever made. This shaming makes it incredibly difficult for them to change, rehabilitate, and eventually reintegrate into society. So, under Article 10 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, or ICCPR, it states that anyone deprived of liberty shall be treated with humanity and with respect for the inherent dignity of the human person, by saying person deprived of liberty. We are intentionally putting the word person first. It is a reminder to the justice system, to society, and to the individuals themselves that they are still human beings. They have temporarily lost their right to liberty as a consequence of their actions, but they have never lost their fundamental human dignity. So
So
we have
good.
types of early discharge. First one is amnesty. It is a blanket pardon, usually given by the president to a large group of people, often for political offenses. It completely wipes the slate clean. Next is absolute pardon. Total forgiveness granted to an individual. It clears the offense and restores all their civil and political rights. The third one is conditional pardon. So the person is released early, but with strings attached. If they break the specific rules of their pardon, they are sent back to prison. Parole, an early release granted after a PDL serves the minimum portion of their sentence. They must regularly report to a parole officer for the rest of their term. Commutation of sentence. This is simply a reduction of the penalty. For example, reducing life sentence down to 20 years. Allowance for good conduct, also known as GCTA. If a PDL shows good behaviors, studies, or works well inside, days are legally subtracted from their total sentence. And the last one is probation. This applies before prison. For certain minor crimes, a judge lets the person serve their sentence out in the community under strict supervision, rather than behind bars. Next slide, please, for the next reporter.
Okay, good day, everyone. I am Grace Lebon, and I will be discussing why consider alternatives to imprisonment. So first, we should understand what imprisonment means. So imprisonment means that putting a person inside jail or prison as punishment for a crime. For example, if a person steals something, the court may punish them by sending them to prison. But today, many experts and governments ask this question: is imprisonment always the best punishment? Or are there better ways to deal with some offenders? So, because of this, Many countries now consider alternatives to imprisonment. So, what are alternatives to imprisonment? Alternatives to imprisonment are other punishments or solutions instead of sending a person to jail. Meaning, instead of imprisonment, the offender may receive other forms of correction or supervision. For example, probation, parole, community service, rehabilitation programs, counseling, and conditional release. So, in simple words, not all offenders need to go to prison, but some can be corrected outside prison. So now, let's explain the main question. Why should we consider alternatives to imprisonment? So there are several important reasons. So first reason is that prison should not always be the default punishment. In many countries, prisons already exist for a long time. Because of this, many officials automatically think that crime is equal to prison. But this should not always be the case. Some crimes are minor offenses, and prison may not be necessary. For example, small theft, minor fight, first-time offenders. Instead of prison, the court may give community service, probation, counseling. So, that means nga dili gyud permi prisuhan ang solusyon sa krimen. Kung gamay ra sila, pwede ra lain nga pamaagi sa pag-correct sa offender. And second reason is that prison is a relatively new form of punishment. Long ago, many societies did not rely heavily on prisons. Instead, they used community punishment, restitution, reconciliation, or fines. So many traditional cultures focus on restoring peace in the community rather than locking people up. So imprisonment is not always the only or best method of justice. Third reason is that prison can sometimes make people worse. Another reason is that imprisonment may harm rehabilitation. So inside prison, offenders may meet hardened criminals, learn more criminal behavior, feel anger or resentment, and lose hope. So instead of improving, sometimes they become more criminal naman hinuon. So for example, a young person who committed a small crime is sent to prison. Inside prison, he may meet the drug traffickers, violent criminals, gang members. And because of this environment, he might learn worse behavior. And then, uh, next reason is that prisons are overcrowded. One of the biggest problems in the world today is prison overcrowding. Globally, there are more than 9 million prisoners, and the number continues to increase. When too many prisoners are placed inside prisons, problems happen, like lack of space, poor living conditions, lack of food, poor health services, and stress and violence. For example, if a prison is designed for 500 inmates but holds 1,200 inmates, the prison becomes overcrowded. So kung kaayo ang preso sa prisuhan, maglisod ang gobyerno sa pag-manage, di ba? Maghuot, kulang sa pagkaon, kung dili maayo ang kahintang sa mga preso. So that's the fourth reason. And fifth reason is that human rights must be protected. Every person has human rights, di ba? Even prisoners have. Prisoners must still be treated with dignity, respect, humane conditions. However, because prisons are overcrowded, many inmates suffer from what? From poor sanitation, diseases, lack of medical care, and poor living conditions. So these violate international human rights standards. And because of this, experts recommend alternatives to imprisonment to reduce what? To reduce prison population. And next reason is that not all offenders are dangerous. Many prisoners are actually minor offenders, first-time offenders, and those people awaiting trial. And these people may not be dangerous to society. Instead of prison, they can be handled through what man? Probation, rehabilitation, counseling, or community supervision. So daghan sa mga preso dili man gyud delikado sa society na uban nga first time offender lang. And next reason is that alternatives help rehabilitation. The goal of the justice system is not only punishment, it is also rehabilitation. So what is rehabilitation mean? Rehabilitation, it means that helping the offender change and become a better person. Alternatives imprisonment allow offenders to what? To stay with family, continue working, receive treatment, and learn skills. For example, a drug user may receive rehabilitation treatment instead of prison. So, mas dali ma-rehabilitate ang offender kung naa siya sa community rather kaysa sa prisuhan. And the last reason is that alternatives can reduce government costs. Running prisons is very expensive. The government must provide food, security, housing, medical care, and prison staff. If the prison population is reduced, the government can save money and use it for other services like what? Like education, health, and rehabilitation programs. So that's all sa ako ang part.
Okay, good day everyone. I'm Shane Saluta and I'm going to discuss about the imprisonment and human rights. So, this topic discuss the fundamental human right to individual liberty, the conditions faced by prisoners, and the importance of ensuring that imprisonment is justified, humane, and accompanied by appropriate alternatives when possible. So, number one, human rights and individual liberty. So, fundamental right. The right to personal freedom is highlighted as one of the most basic human rights. It is protected by international agreements and national constitution worldwide. Next is the justification for imprisonment. So, government can only deprive someone of their liberty if they have a valid reason. Specifically, they must demonstrate that imprisonment is necessary to achieve an important societal goal and that no less restrictive means could accomplish the same purpose. So the second is limitation and conditions of imprisonment. So inevitability of loss of liberty. So when someone is imprisoned, they inevitably lost their personal freedom. Next is the impact on other rights. Beyond losing liberty, prisoners often face violations of other human rights. Next is the poor living condition. Prisoners are frequently kept in overcrowded facilities, poorly clothed, and inadequately fed. Next is the health risk. These conditions make a prisoners vulnerable to disease and the medical care provided may be insufficient. Lastly is the family contact. Prisoners often have difficulty maintaining contact with their families, which is vital for their emotional well-being and social reintegration. Also, they have a life risk. Such conditions may even threaten prisoner lives. So that's all for my part, and the rest will be discussed by Mate Romerati. Mate.
So good day, everyone. My name is Romarate Shainame. So for the continuation of the report for imprisonment and human rights, um, imprisonment and human rights have a complex relationship. So, in short, it argues that while the law allows for people to be imprisoned, they do not lose their basic human dignity or their right to safe, humane treatment while behind bars. So, I have here the breakdown of the core points of the topic. So number one is the right to liberty. As we all know, individual liberty is a fundamental right because it is so important that government should only take it away as a last resort. And then our topic states that if a less restrictive method like a fine or a community service can achieve the same societal goal, the government should use that instead of jail. So number two core point is the reality of prison conditions. So our topic acknowledges a harsh reality because in many places, prison takes away much more than just freedom. It often leads to the loss of other rights due to, um, example, for overcrowding of the prison, deprivation, health risk, and isolation. So number three core point is the human dignity and reform. So courts have ruled that living in these poor conditions is inhumane and degrading. Even if someone is a prisoner, they have an inherent humanity that must be respected. And it also talks about the low level offenders. Our topic points out that many people in these conditions are low level offenders or people awaiting trial or who haven't been convicted yet. And the solution is that it suggests that using alternatives to imprisonment would solve the overcrowding problem and make the justice system more effective and humane. So, in a nutshell, the topic imprisonment as rights is making a case for prison reform, arguing that taking away someone's freedom is the punishment and taking away their health, safety, and dignity should not be a part of the deal. So that's all. Thank you.
So good day everyone, I'm Daniel Loibal and let's talk about forms of early release. Early release refers to systems that allow prisoners to leave prison before completing their full sentence under certain conditions. Many countries use early release mechanism to reduce prison overcrowding and promote the rehabilitation of offenders. Instead of remaining in prison for the entire term, prisoners may be allowed to return to society gradually while still being supervised. Early release can take several forms. Some methods provide limited freedom while the prisoner is still technically serving their sentence, while others allow conditional or full release into the community. These approaches help reduce the number of people in prisons and ensure that imprisonment is used only when necessary. According to the Tokyo Rules, United Nations Standard Minimum Rules for Non-Custodial Measures, the post-sentencing stage of criminal justice process should include measures that reduce the length of prison sentences or provide alternatives to full imprisonment. These measures aim to support rehabilitation and help offenders reintegrate into society.
um, good, good day. I'm Marcos Spencer Blatete. Uh, Early release program like furlough, halfway houses, work or education release, parole, remission, and pardon allow prisoners to leave prison under supervision. They help inmates develop skills, maintain social connection, adjust gradually to the society, and stay motivated through rewards. These programs support rehabilitation, reduce the risk of reoffending, and aid the transition back into the community. By giving prisoners opportunity to work, study, or interact with their family while still under supervision. Early release programs prepare them for real-life challenges after full release. They encourage responsibility, personal growth, and positive behavior, making it more likely that former inmates will integrate successfully and contribute positively to the society. And that's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Altea Eve El Servida, and the next topic is early release on compassionate grounds. So, it allows prisoners, especially those who are terminally ill or very elderly, to be released early for medical or humanitarian reason. This helps them receive proper care and reduce their time in prison. So that's all.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tricky Lumongo. Keeping children out of the criminal justice system. Um, the Beijing rules state that children should not be placed in jail or detention unless absolutely necessary. Institutionalizing children, placing them in prison or detention centers, can harm their development and may make them more likely to commit crimes again. It can expose them to negative influences and limit their chances to learn positive behavior. Because of this, the rules encourage alternative measures instead of imprisonment. These alternatives focus on the welfare guidance and rehabilitation of the child rather than punishment. Instead of prison, authorities may use four alternatives: care orders, ensuring the child receive proper support and protection; guidance and supervision, assigning social workers, counselors, or community leaders to guide the child; foster care, placing the child in safety family environment; lastly, living communities or educational settings, rehabilitation center, or schools that help children learn discipline, skills, and value. So, the children who commit offense should be helped and rehabilitated, not simply punished. The Beijing rules emphasize that keeping children out of criminal justice systems protects their rights and gives them a better chance to change their behavior and become responsible members of society. The focus should be rehabilitation guidance and care rather than imprisonment because children are still developing and deserve opportunities to correct their mistakes.
So, the cure of keeping children out of the criminal justice system is based on rehabilitation over punishment, recognizing that the youth have a higher capacity for change and lower moral culpability than adults. International standards like the rules of mandate that conditional release be used to be the greatest extent of possible to prevent the prioritization effect where carceration status of a child, development, or reinforcement in a criminal identity. Also, children should be kept out of the criminal justice system as much as possible because they deserve a second chance. According to the United Nations standard, minimum rules of administration of juvenile justice. A young offender should be released early when possible and prepared for a life outside, with support from the government and the community. And that's all. Thank you.
So that concludes our report of Module 17, and we are the Group 1. Thank you for listening.